Good day. My name is Brian Moher, and today with me is my colleague Leo Letniaime. And Leo and I are part of a multi-professional group. I'm a lawyer, Leo's a sociologist. Together in our group that we affectionately refer to as the Four Musketeers is also Michael Cheng, clinical engineering, and Dr. Ed Napke, who is, of course, an expert in medicine. And today we're going to talk about 3 essential steps to ensuring patient safety. In other words, a global and holistic framework for differentiating between product safety and patient safety and ensuring patient safety outcomes. Now, there are a number of regulatory schemes that are in place, given that this is a global marketplace for medical devices. And our group considered about 3 years ago the importance of having a universal framework in order to ensure that there's a holistic and simplified framework for ensuring product safety and patient safety, regardless of whatever regulatory scheme is in place. And we'll take you through a slideshow shortly, but before I do that, I'll go over very briefly what the steps are. And for greater details on these steps, we'd recommend you review the World Health Organization's Green Book, Overview and Guiding Principles for greater details on the subject. Today will be just a brief overview. The very first step in the 3-step framework is the question focused on product safety. Does the product comply with local regulations? Now, I'll just pause for a moment to point out that we've made a big distinction between product safety and patient safety. There can be a misapprehension that if a product is safe, then safe patient outcomes are ensured. And that's not a guarantee, which is why this framework has been developed. So the very first step, as I indicated, the question is, does the product comply with local regulations? Is there product safety? At step 2 of the analysis, the shift in focus is on patient safety. Question then becomes a contextual and unique or local factors analysis. Is the product safe and reliable in my environment? Does it meet the various specific situational needs and expectations? Will the product perform in my particular environment? And the third question, the third part of the framework, is how do we ensure the preservation of device quality, safe and effective use, monitoring of performance, and the reporting of adverse events? So I'm going to pop up a slide presentation that we prepared. And Leo, is that visible on your screen?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And there we are, the 4 Musketeers listed at the bottom. So as I indicated earlier, product safety versus patient safety, these are 2 distinct concepts. And as we'll go into a little more detail, product safety is primarily a function of medical device regulatory requirements. That's got to be distinguished from patient safety, which is the ultimate objective. A holistic framework that has universal applicability is crucial to ensuring both product safety and patient safety as outcomes. At step 1 is the product safety assessment. The user must ensure that the marketed product has been cleared or certified by the relevant regulatory authority of whatever district or jurisdiction the product is being marketed in. This is to ensure general product safety and compliance with the regulatory requirements of a medical device regulator. The focus here is on the regulatory requirements pertaining to the device. Often these involve questions of whether the device has proof of safety, whether there's proof of efficacy supporting the device. As you can see, we've indicated that this is the regulatory mandate. Following that, we come to step 2, use context assessment. And in step 2, the focus now shifts from product safety to patient safety. It's important to note that step 1 does not cover the unique environmental and human factors that will affect a particular user. For example, a medical device may not function properly in an environment that is humid or requires training and human experience, that if that human experience or training is not there. At step 2, a user must proceed to consider the specifications of the marketed device and examine the range of environmental and human factors and conditions under which the device was designed to be used. These factors include the quality and condition and suitability of the physical environments in which the medical devices are going to be used. Following this assessment, the user must then decide whether the marketed product is still safe given the user's environment and human factor conditions. And this takes us to step 3 of the holistic and universal framework, safe use and management. We'll review each of these steps in a little more detail following, but suffice it to say, it is critical for all stakeholders to recognize that medical device regulations typically govern only the manufacturer. They function by requiring manufacturers to carry out, amongst other things, an assessment of provision of instructions for safe use, protocols for preservation or maintenance of the quality of the device, including in the delivery process to the customer or the end user, and to conduct post-market surveillance, adverse event reporting, corrective action, and preventative action. After delivery, the device is possessed by the user, and it is the user who must take up the responsibility to ensure that they follow safe use instructions, maintain device quality, and monitor device performance. So as you can see here, the step 1, the focus is on product safety, which is the regulatory mandate, and steps 2 and 3 are patient safety, that is primarily the domain of user responsibility. So in a little more detail, at step 1, product safety assessment, number 1 question, has the device received regulatory clearance? And medical device regulations are based on a set of principles and general requirements for product design, manufacturing, packaging, and delivery process. It's up to the manufacturers to demonstrate their compliance with such requirements for clearance with the regulators. General product safety assessment requires a lot of resources, and these resources come from government regulators. These are resources that consumers cannot individually provide. So there's much work on the government part and the regulatory part at step 1. The human environment and environmental factors may not cover all conditions of the manufacturer's intended user environment, however. So that's why we have to shift over to step 2. At step 2, even if this is the use context assessment, the environment in which the device will be used and the context in which the device will be used. Even where a medical device has received regulatory clearance, that does not equate to patient safety. There has to be an assessment of the context in which the device will be used. And I've listed some of those environmental and human factors that can impact a medical device's use, but these factors will vary depending on the medical device and from person to person, from environment to environment, etc. So questions issues that may have an impact on a medical device's safety in the user context will include temperature, humidity, lighting, Those are some examples, but they could include more. Does the device require training, knowledge, or experience to use? Are there intermediate users, such as a medical device being located in a hospital and a facility that is being used by somebody who has training? Or is it up to the patient who's received the device to inform him or herself as to the requisite knowledge and experience required? And third, at step 3, the final step of the holistic analysis is a question of safe use and management. Even if the medical device has received regulatory clearance and there is product safety that is established, and even if the device is safe for use in the context in which it's intended to be used, this still does not equate to patient safety. At step 3, there must be an assessment of how the medical device's safe use, maintenance, and surveillance will be managed. So these considerations include safe use, preservation, and storage of the medical device to ensure that its quality and functionality aren't compromised, as well as broader implications for the community of medical device users and the local communities as well. This includes steps such as adverse event vigilance, medical device problem reporting, notification, and safe use and replacement, including safe disposal. So just before we go to any takeaway points, I'd ask my colleague Leo if he has any comments at this juncture.
Yes, I think one of the important points to bring out is the conference is entitled Health Technology Challenge. A real important adjunct to that is the communication challenge, about which I'll speak later.
Excellent. Okay. Takeaway points. Remember, product safety does not equate to patient safety. The 3-step framework is a universally applicable process for ensuring patient safety, and all stakeholders must be aware of their respective responsibilities. We have in any given context surrounding a medical device, a number of different professionals all involved. And if we keep them in silos, this does not integrate the holistic framework. This does not integrate and maximize patient safety outcomes. Everybody must be aware of their respective responsibilities in this framework for ensuring patient safety and the safe use and management of devices. I also note that for further information, you can see chapters 49 and 53 of the Medical Device Regulations and Patient Safety textbook. The site's provided up on this particular slide. And finally, that's me. So thank you very much for joining us today. And it was a pleasure to present to you. Thank you, Leo.
Thank you, Ryan.